Hello Epiphone lovers. For the first time we have the chance to buy the Epiphone Casino China-made and American-made. And the China-made Epiphone Casino costs $648. The American-made costs $2,700 to $699. The Chinese-made has no hard case. You can buy one for $119. The American-made has a Chinese-made hard case, but in the original color, inside blue, outside gray. And is it worth to spend 3.5 times the money of that one? Because at the moment you can buy the Casino Chinese made in 3 colors. That's natural, vintage sunburst and turquoise. And if you buy these 3, you would have enough money to buy an SG standard Epiphone. So you could buy 4 great guitars for the money you have to spend for one American made. So I thought I make a little comparison, so let's start. Let's give the first point. Price. Let's start with the price. The Chinese made costs $648. If you want hard case, it's around $120. So a Chinese made, including the hard case, costs you around $770. The USA made costs $2,700 to $699. So if you take only the price, then that point goes to the Chinese made Casino. In 1962, the one pickup was $230. The 2 pickups was $275 with the vibrato. The Trimoton, it was $314.50. And the case was another $50. So let's go to the second point. How accurate they are, the new ones, copies of the 60s Beatles casinos, because the casinos changed all the time a bit, how close they are to the Beatles, because the Beatles are the biggest ambassadors for the Epiphone Casino. And Keith Richards played between 1964 and 65 and 1962 that model live on stage on the first US tour. But Keith Richards, one of the biggest guitar players and composer and musician, he's more related to Fender. When you think about Keith Richards, then you think of Fender Telecaster. So the big ambassadors are not the Kings, not the Stones, they are the Beatles. So Paul McCartney, George Harrison, John Lennon, they played through the second part of the Beatlemania live and in the studio casino, Epiphone casinos. So George Harrison and John Lennon, they started to play in 1966, their Epiphone casinos, they were made in 1965. So in 1964, Epiphone changed the headstock to the longer one with the dovetail, and the necks became a bit thinner, narrower than the early 60s one, and the pickups were nickel plated, so there was quite a big change from in 1964. So if we take that headstock, the 1961 had a plate, a white plate with the Epiphone sign. It looked a bit like a T. But that was just the first year. In the first year you could have 1 or 2 pickups, P90s, black cover, that's right, with the white plate, and also the vibrato, the Trimoton vibrato, that was in 61. Then in 1962 they changed, they made this inlay, so and they changed from the dots to parallelums. So this is the closest to a 1962 Epiphone Casino, and Keith Richards played the 1962 Casino, so it's quite close to Keith Richards' guitar. But Keith Richards had the trematone vibrato, but from 1962 on you could order also the trapezoid, so this is correct. Trapezoid or trematone, both are fine. One thing that's really bad for a collector, the parallelum inlays are made the wrong way. They go up, and the original ones went down, and the Chinese ones goes down. So the Chinese Casino is closer to the original, the inlays, than the much more expensive American made. And from the point of a collector, that's not good, because I don't understand why Gibson made such faults, you know, and they have to be measured by what they say. They mention the Keith Richards, the Beatles, the Kings, all these big bands from the 60s. They say, oh, casino players. But when you make a reissue, then go as close as you can. And so the inlays are wrong, the rest is fine for a 62. But now when we take the Beatles, none of the Beatles played the 1962 Casino. Paul McCartney is the only one who plays a Kalamazoo, a Gibson headstock, so that's fine. And he's got the inlays, but downwards, not upwards, that's wrong. And then Paul McCartney's 1964 model, it was made between October or November 1963, because the shipping papers of Paul McCartney's guitar are from November 1963. So he had nickel covers on the P90s, and he had Bixby vibrato. So it's not the Paul McCartney 1964 model. And don't get confused when you read 63, 64 or 65, 66, because after the summer break, shortly after the summer break, Guitar Plant starts to produce the next year's model. So also today you can buy a 2021 Les Paul made in 2020 or a 2020 model made in 2019, so don't get confused. It's with cars or many other products, it's the same. So Paul McCartney's was an end of 1963 but 1964 model. But the covers are wrong, the inlays are wrong, and it's not the Bixby, so it's not Paul McCartney Casino. And then George Harrison and John Lennon received at the beginning of 1966 their casinos. Paul McCartney met John Mayall in December 64, and they went through a lot of music stuff. So John Mayall convinced Paul McCartney that he needs a kind of an electrified hollow body acoustic guitar. And so Paul McCartney bought in 65 his Epiphone Casino. And then when the Beatles started to make Help, John Lennon thought the sound was so great of the Casino that he also wanted the Casino, and they ordered Epiphones, 2 Casinos, one for George Harrison, one for John Lennon. And they received these guitars in the beginning of 1966 as a gift. I mean, for sure, it was the biggest band. That was a great advertisement for Epiphones. So they were proud that the Beatles wanted to play Casinos. And the colors from the beginning on, you could have it in 2 colors, royal tan or shaded finishes. That's how it stands in their price list when you read royal tan or shaded finishes. That means, and then the explanation for royal tan was a soft sunburst, a soft burst. And the shaded finishes means you could have a different shade, darker or a bit brighter. And when you see photos of George Harrison's and John Lennon's Casino, you see that George Harrison's was less dark than John Lennon's. In 1964, Epiphone started to change the headstock, became this dovetail headstock. The neck was a bit narrower. It came from 169 to 161, and they called it slim tapper, but it was a rounded, not a D shape, so the neck was a bit thinner, and on a statement from Gibson Epiphone at that time it was written the faster neck. So the neck became a bit more comfortable, the headstock was different, and the pickups were nickel plated. So the Chinese Casino is closer because the inlays are put it in the right way, downwards. The headstock is right, the headstock inlay is right, the neck is right, the nickel plate is right, the trapezoid is right. So the Chinese made Epiphone Casino is closer. From the front view, it's closer to the original of John Lennon or George Harrison's. Gibson has to be measured by that because they make name dropping now when they came on the market with that guitar. So if you take that, the historical point of view, then the Chinese one is closer to the original, not from the back. Because the back is a beautiful sunburst, but that's not original, because the American is closer to the original. So the second point, how accurate they are to these big name bands of the 60s, then that's a point again for the Chinese one. So at the moment, 2 points China, 0 point USA. And now third point challenge is the quality of craftsmanship, of building, of the finishing. And you can see that through the video, but when you hold both guitar in your hand, you touch it, then I mean, that's a Gibson, that's a completely different, that's a luxury high-end product, and this is a more mass production. But the Chinese are great, comfortable, good, really good made working horse. You can travel with that, you can play in a band. When you have a Beatles cover band, you need that one, not that one, that's perfect. So the Chinese-made Casino is a really, really good high-end guitar. Nothing to do with the first Chinese-made. Today they are experienced now for nearly 20 years to build in the same factory guitars in Qingdao, China, and this guitar is absolutely perfect. But this one is a real luxury product. It's when you touch it, you feel it. When you have a close look, it's a different guitar. So this point has to go to the USA made. So it's now 2-1. How comfortable they are for playing. So it depends. If you have a normal hand, I don't have really large fingers or hand, so for me thinner neck, a 1/6 neck is fine. So for me the Chinese made is a bit more comfortable. It's lighter than the American one. The neck is a bit thinner, more comfortable. And for picking or chords or soloing, it's more or less the same. So if you take weight and the neck feeling, then it's a point for the Chinese one again. Now the fifth point I mean, at the moment it's 3 for China, 1 for USA. And now how easy or how effortless is it to play, how fatigued your hands go, you know, how much you have to push the strings that they sound good. Okay, for the Chinese one is really comfortable to play. You don't need a lot of power to push to get a good sound, you know, to push the strings down. And now the American made. Oh, whoa. Okay, no discussion. This plays from itself. You don't need any power. That's amazing. Whoa. Okay, I never tried it just side by side, but this is a point for Gibson. This is heaven. Okay, so what we have now, 3 to 2 points. We should also start now to see how they sound, and let's start with the acoustic. Sound a bit more in the middle, a bit rounder. That's a bit brighter, that's more a bit wider, the sound of the American. But with the buzzing, it loses a bit. So I would say acoustically, this is sounds a bit better. This is a bit more comfortable to play. But the buzzing, I hope it's just on mine. Let's give a point to both guitars. So 1 point, 1 point. Most important, how they sound. Plugged in, I play through a Marshall Code 100H, by the way. So. pickup. Great sound, really bassy, bassy, and I like the heavy sound of the Chinese one. That sounds good. So let's see if the American can go with that. Bridge pickup. Okay, the Gibson pickup sounds a bit better, fuller, wide range, but the Chinese one has much more sustain. As you can hear, you play a tone, you can go for lunch, you come back, you will still have the tone. That's not on the Gibson. That's it. That's it. Sounds a bit brighter acoustically, and plugged in, that one is absolutely fantastic, but the Chinese one has a bit more sustain. So, but when you do a closer look, then you realize this is a luxury product like jewels, or a Rolex or a Ferrari. If you want to put it in your living room and you love luxury, then go for the American made. It looks so expensive, so high-end. It's a different league from the mass-produced Chinese one. So you see immediately it looks better, more valuable. It's a luxury product, a high-end product. It's a Gibson. ES Electric Spanish, it's nearly the cheapest one. The satin mates are $2,599. There are $100 lower priced than that one, and the satin is one of my favorite. And the satin Gibson is completely equal, the same neck, the same body, it's the same guitar in the measurements, but it has humbuckers and it's a semi-hollow. Think about when you want to spend over $2,500 if you want to go with the Gibson hollow body Casino, or maybe a standard ES costs $3,000. That's not a big gap, and but they are semi-hollow, and this is a hollow guitar. And the overall look, it's more, it looks more expensive, it looks more luxury than the Chinese one. And it's up to you if the money isn't an issue. But when you're in a band, you play, you need a working horse, and then go with the Chinese one. You do nothing wrong. So if you have other information, or please leave your message, and thank you for watching.